G'day viewers, how they hanging? Peter here. This is part 3 I think of the carport video. Now today's Friday and 2 of my wife's sons have offered to come and give me a hand with this job tomorrow. So tomorrow's Saturday, and of course they're predicting half an inch of rain so we'll be working in the rain. But I've been watching the weather. I made a mental note that I thought if the wind was more than 15 kilometres an hour, which is about 10, near enough to 10 miles an hour for our American viewers, if the wind's over 15 kilometres an hour, I'm not going to do this job, or if it's predicted to be over 15 kilometres an hour, because if the wind gets under this with the sail area, there's nothing holding the front down. I'll show you in a minute. And to me, it's just too dangerous. Like, it's a dangerous job anyway. I've never done it before. The 2 helpers have never done it before. And I think if you're in 20 or 30 kilometre an hour winds, I don't think it's going to be a happy ending. So I've got some real dodgy, in the Aussie morons tradition, I've got some really dodgy fucking shit going on here. Dodgy as fuck, but I mean, that's how I roll. Use what you got. I'm a great believer in using what you got. So I've got these acro props in. Now I'm not sure what they call them in other countries. Can you see here? It says acro, which is a brand name in Australia, but we just call them acro props. And I could only get 4, and I really needed 5, but I bought these second hand and they were only $30 each, I think. Now I've left this one here for the moment. I've put another 2 in that I'll show you in a minute, and I did them by myself. Now I've got some manpower coming tomorrow, so I'll move this one. I'll move this one to inside here, and you can see I've got one at the end there, and this one in the middle. Have a look at this. I'll have to stand back so you can see. Look at that. It's my old car, and it's actually carrying a bit of load because I can't move it, and it's fucking moving. But look, it's packed up with bits of shit. I found what I thought was the strongest part of the roof because I didn't want to break the windscreen, and I mean, that's fucking carrying a fair bit of weight. I kind of said to myself, because when I was and then we've got, this is a toolbox. That was when my dad died. I got the toolbox, was on the side of his truck, and you can see we got a scissor jack off a VT Commodore and a ratchet handle spanner, and I've wound that up, and 3 lengths of shitty old timber. Actually, I think that shitty old timber used to be up here going from there to there. So if you stand back and look at that and just say to yourself, isn't that fucking beautiful? I'm absolutely 100% confident in working under that. It's a joy for the sight, isn't it? All right, so that means I've done the 2 outside ones. Now, as you can see, I've put a couple of 2-inch screws up in there to locate the top. The bottom, look at that, equally beautiful. Fucking confidence inspiring stuff here. And just for my own benefit, have a look at that rotten timber too. It's much worse than I thought it was, but we'll see what we can do with that. And so I've tied that to my 1958 Morris Minor ute, so you can see it's fairly rudimentary, but I've positioned the car. I'll stand back so you can see. So I've positioned the car so that stops the shed from falling that way, And look at that top beam. It's supposed to be horizontal. It's fucking sick. And then this one, I've done a similar sort of a thing. So this one here, I've triangulated this one because I sort of had to, because see where there's a rotten, can you see how rotten that is? It's rotten right where I wanted to put the acro prop. So I sort of had to put the acro prop here, which means I had to triangulate it. I mean, I've just put a hitch in there. All of this stuff is just put in with a hitch. I think that's good enough, actually. And to stop it running down the hill, you can see this one here. There's can you see a tree stump there? And then again, where's the hitch? I was only just long enough. That's why I only had the minimum. See how much was left over? 2 inches. So I just put a hitch in there because it's all I could do. So that will stop it running down the hill. This timber's a bit rotten, but I'm hoping that'll stop it from going the other way, and they're setting the ground a bit. So I think that'll be all right. So if you look at it from this end, we've got an outside acro prop. We've got the car supporting that with a scissor jack. The middle one will go to the middle joist, bearer, whatever you want to call it, rafter. I've got one more acro prop to put there than the other one. And I think that will work. I'm kind of deciding, initially I was going to attack these brackets with the angle grinder, but that's going to leave stuff on the rafter, which I've got to physically remove, which will take a bit of huffing and puffing and levering, which I don't want to do when it's disassembled. So I think I'll try and pull them out in situ. I freed up these nuts here, and I've got some dyno bolts and a new post. As I said, I've got 2 boys coming to give me a hand, so I've made a bit of a table here, and I've just got that's every spanner and socket that I'll need to undo the fasteners. Bit of silicone spray for those long 8-inch bolts. Got all my fasteners, tape measure and Texas, and what's that, silicone. I got pop rivets, masks. We're going to use a bit of this aluminium flashing. It's only 0.9 or something. Just a few tools that you might need. Run the extension cords. You can see actually, can you see this post? Now, I've cut this post to length, so that'll be all right. I've cut these to length, so there it should be a little bit long. If I've got to cut the end off, I'll cut the end off. These ones might be a little short because I sort of cut them before I positioned this, but then because of the location of these holes, I really wanted this to be a bit that way, but the position of those holes made I had to make it a bit longer, so these might be a tad short, but they'll work. And so this is a stiffener for that rotten piece that's near my other shed, and these two are going to stack on top of each other, and that'll be the new beam. So you can sort of see how that looks now. That's the length. It's a reasonably long piece of wood, but anyway, it's got 4 coats of paint, and so that's how it looks. And then what have I got down here? I got my stirrup here, some power tools, so we're just about right to go. And tomorrow's the big day, because once I cut all of that, at the moment those 2 front posts are supporting the roof, even in their sorry state, but once I cut them, they aren't anymore, and it's either going to come down or be fixed. I know not which, but we'll learn together. Well, the other thing I got was I got some flashings made up. There's 4 different sets of flashings, and they're all different. You can see, well, actually 5, because there's 4 sides to the shed, and then this one here, you see with the return on it, that is going to be the box gutter flashing. So there's 5 sets of flashing there. So price wise, the timber was about $300. This is in Australian dollar. Now Australian construction costs have gone up a hell of a lot the last 5 years since COVID. We're in 2025 now. And construction has just gone berserk. So the timber was about 300, the flashing was about 500, the fasteners were about 200, the paint I already had. That's about it really. Maybe ropes and stuff I'll recycle. So that's about where we are. So tomorrow I'll be working in the rain. Hopefully, if it's not windy. If it's windy, if they predict wind, I'm just going to cancel a job, but I don't really want to do that. And the only other thing was, when I went out this morning, just out the front of my house, actually you can't quite see it down the bottom of the driveway there. There's a dead wombat. I might just run, take a photo of that, or show you, because international people might be interested in wombats. They have a rear-facing pouch because they're burrowing animals, so the hole for the pouch is at the back, not at the front where you'd expect it. But if you're burrowing through dirt, it makes perfect sense. But I'll stick that on the end of the video. So I'll say uru, bye-bye. G'day viewers, I was just going for a walk this morning, and I see one of our local animals has got hit by a car last night. We came home at 8 o'clock and it wasn't there then, so I don't know if you can see the blood on the road. So someone's obviously dragged it off the road last night. Bit of a shame, because we don't like to see our native animals killed, but this one is a wombat, and it's obviously a male. The females, I don't know if you can see these if you're interested. The females have a pouch. If it had a pouch, you'd check that if it had any babies, and take them to the vet. But this one's been killed. He's not that old. Wombat, interesting animal. I think it's the only animal in the world that makes square-shaped poo. So when it excretes its waste, they are in like little cube. It comes out in cubes, so that they can stack them, and they'll stack them like building blocks, 3 or 4 high, or often elevate their excrement to mark their territory. And you'll see little, usually on a rock or a tree stump, you'll see these little blocks of poo stacked up. I think the other unusual thing about them is that they, as a defensive weapon, they're a burrowing animal. If you look at their claws, can you see their claws? The back, they're made mostly of cartilage, so they're as tough as an old tank. And they are, if an animal comes in behind it, its back presents, it's on a 30-degree angle, the spine slopes down, and with their massive powerful legs, they push the animal up, and it gets trapped in this wedge shaped along their back because it's at a 30-degree angle, and they push them up against the ceiling of their burrow and kill the animal. They actually crush it to death. So yeah, that's a bit of a shame, but this is what you see living in the bush. So I'll say uru.